Today I'd like to talk to you about the selection process I went through for the homing switch for the AT300 CNC lathe. The homing switch is for the automatic tool changer I've designed many years ago that started out as a manual tool changer. Then I was going to make it an automatic tool changer that you could use the remote control or even your phone. And now, as I went along with the CNC side of things, I decided to incorporate it into the new update I'm doing to the whole machine. So there'll be a series of videos on the whole lot doing that. Originally it was called the MTC. You've heard of ATC, well, it was a manual tool changer. It was to replace the quick change tool blocks. You'll see the centre quick change, then each tool holder is about $100. 4 tools, $800. 8 tools, you're looking at $1,200. The unique design about this is its infinite capacity. The front platen comes off and you can just change it for another 8 tool platen or centre drills, any of those sort of things. So that's one of the unique design features about it. Manual, automatic, semi-control or fully CNC control. So when I originally designed it, almost a decade ago now, I had a series of flats on here, octagon, and the idea was to mount 2 micro switches either way, and then another section would only have 1 lug for the home switch. And the idea for that was that I could then tell if each position was lined up for each tool, so when the rods rammed in by the air cylinder that they would engage the hole directly rather than wearing out on one side or the other side and irrigating the hole, and then that stops the rigidity of the actual tool over time. So if you think about those design principles, in the end that's what I come up with. But then that meant more and more cabling, and as you can see, the tube is already chock-a-block, airlines, different type of cabling. I then said, alright, I'll just use the micro switch, just one for the home, and as you know with Mach 3, the home switch really doesn't have to be at any particular position. By that I mean if it clicks on tool number 1, number 2, number 5, halfway between, it doesn't matter. You then click and then say, right, go back so many inches, so many millimetres, so many thou, so many degrees, and then use that as home. Therefore it wasn't that important. Time will tell how much it moves out and that type of thing. So at the moment I decided to just stick to one switch, and I designed up, as these photos will show, the position of it. And whenever I design anything I also think about its use, ease of repair and longevity and all that type of thing, and also the cost naturally. And on all my pulleys I've drilled and tapped holes to have a bearing puller or a pulley puller on, and the reason for that is sometimes aluminium seems to mould onto the steel and get tight and difficult to get off, or it's a bit hard to actually get into levering something, and you may use screwdrivers and you damage the teeth on the belts and those sort of things. So design maintenance, future maintenance in the product you make now will save you lots of trouble later. I had 3 holes there. So the idea with these photos, you'll see the little cap screw was in there, and it would sit on there. Cap screw would just come around, click the switch, and then say there it is. And then I would put a dial indicator on the top, see how far the top of the tool was off the horizontal, and then say, alright, rotate 3 degrees or 3.2 or 3.21785, whatever, to get it back to tool 1 position, and then that would be the home, and then it's just a matter of 45 degrees from there on in. Because the other problem is that all your stepper drivers, they all have multi-steps. You think, oh great, but they're all even, 100, 200, but they don't divide into 360. So if you get a 2,000 steps, you get 111.111111. So there's an error there, and it may accumulate, it may cause problems, so that's just in the future. Design that switch, everyone was done, polished, put it all back up, and I thought, but then you always have these little thoughts in your mind, and I always like to run through any scenario in my mind before I actually commit it. I said, well, when you first do a tool change, yeah, that's great, a lot quicker than undo the nut and the bolt and all that sort of thing. But then, it may turn around this fast. I'd like it to go a bit faster. Let's go like this. And before you know, it's spinning around at the speed of sound. You think, oh, this is great. But that means that every time it goes past, because this is a bi-directional, what that means is that some of the older ones, they go tool 1, tool 2, tool 3. If you want tool 2, you have to go to tool 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then back to 1, 2. So bi-directional means it can take the shortest path to the next tool. So that means that with this spinning around, this little micro switch is being battled over the head with this cap screw at the speed of sound. And I thought, nah, that's not going to last that long. Also, I am putting a warning buzzer and a flashing light to let you know. Because this guard comes over, you don't really know when the tool change is going to occur unless you're looking at the actual monitor and you can look up. So this you could be here and something could be caught and you're changing the coolant or something, and before you know, this thing's whizzing around at the speed of sound. And they can cut steel quite easily. So bone, flesh, anything like that, you don't want that spinning around at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So that's what the buzzer and all that's going to be incorporated into the wiring. So the micro switch would have been simple, 2 wires, can connect it up. When it's triggered, the buzzer goes and the light flashes automatically. That was that idea. But then I had to give it the flick because I thought, okay, contact, no good. So then I said, right, have a non-contact sensor. Several types you can have. I bought this proximity sensor switch. This is a 5mm one, quite small, and I could have used the cap screw still sitting on there, and when it comes along, it's sensitive. There's Hall effect types and inductive ones. Inductive ones measure the eddy currents in the metal, so they have a sort of magnet inside. The Hall effect, you have to actually put a magnet on, so that can be a problem at times, but I got this for another reason. So I said, right, beauty, I'll just put this on nice and small. But then the trouble was, and this is what happens, you think, oh yeah, I'll put it up there, and by the time you put the angle on to get it near the nut, because it cannot be up the top because the nut will come around and hit it. So if it sits straight, you're then adding more and more distance, and I don't want anything hanging out further here. I want to keep it all nice and narrow. So that would have meant I would have had to triple the thickness of this bracket. So then coming here, you then start to see all the wiring's hanging down. And remember, it's a tool. Cutting steel, hot chips, oil, swarf would soon damage little cabling and all that. So I wanted to tuck the cabling up and run it down that way. So even though this is probably about 5 to 10 times more expensive than a basic proximity switch because of the size, I had to rule it out. So luckily, I got another use for it. The next thing was to get a photo interrupter. This is a photo interrupter. And basically all what it is a slot. It has an infrared LED on one side that transmits an emitter, and then on the other side is an infrared LED receiver. So you have the light coming from the infrared, and when it's blocked, you can either set it to signal or no signal. So there's your index signal. So that's just how they work. I pull apart old printers and inkjet printers and all that sort of stuff and pull all these out, and you end up with heaps of them. And I've probably got about 50 or so, but I had to go through and some fit to the left, some fit to the right, some's got pins at the bottom, some on pins on the top. I then found this one and it would fit on there quite well. So I put it on there, I said great. It will fit on there. The wires, I had to solder on connectors and all that, and the wires could fit in and then just fit up there like that and come out. Beautiful. Just laser cut a bit of plastic, hole in it, we're done. 3 holes. But then the trouble was, the stepper motor fits on here, and the disc would then basically be touching the side of the stepper motor because of the centre distance, and if it was really small and I really got it in there, swarf and oil and all that would then go through, and dust, oil, if these are sealed, no problems, but you only have to just block up the little slots in there, the little holes with swarf, a bit of something, and they don't work. That eliminated them. So the proximity switch was too long, the interrupter disc was too big, so then that just then left me to my Hall effect sensor. If you look at my series on the SX3 CNC mill for the indexing of the spindle position, if you watch that video, I'll show you how I do that, and put a magnet in there to find the position of the spindle. This time, all I did was got a cut off. When you cut off the bolts, maybe too long, just got a short bit, drilled it 3mm, and just screwed it in by hand, and it just sits proud, and there's a little magnet in there. So people say glue it in. If it's a good magnet, it'll then never fall out. It's there, and so all I do now is that even though this is tool 1 position, as you can see, it's 1 tool out. But as I mentioned before, we'll come up, index, signal, and then all I have to do is work it back down to the exact number of degrees. I was originally trying to get it perfect, but don't bother. So just set it up, it'll come down, sensible trigger, that's home, 42.5 degrees or something I think it is. How can you check? Well, you can just put a digital degree gauge on here and then just set it on 0, bring it around, wait for the light up, read what it says, then you know that to go back the other way, it's that distance from 45, and then you can set up Mach 3 to move that distance, and then you can check it and see if it is correct. So that's why I chose that. That's the process you have to go. You have to chase your tail a few times, but in the end, as long as you don't disappear up it, you find the solution and it works fine. Only problem with this is that the pins are pointing out this way, and so I'll put on 90-degree pins, so as it points down, then all the cabling can keep inside the cover. That's how to select that switch, the reasons why, pros and cons, and hopefully you'll see it up running soon. So if you enjoyed this video, subscribe, thumbs up, spread the wisdom. If you haven't, let me know why not. And as always, thanks for watching.